So I've taught how to break down a character, and I've taught how to study and copy, but it seems like there's still some information missing from what I've been explaining and what I've been talking about. So I thought I'd be able to clarify and put in the missing pieces for copying a character and breaking them down in this video. Hi, my name is Luis Escobar. I'm a storyboard artist in the Simpsons television show. I've been working on the show for over 20 years now, and I'm here to empower you. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a character like this character, Daphne of Scooby-Doo, and I'm going to really quickly break down her shapes, but then I'm also going to show you how I would approach copying this drawing so that it's not, so I don't start with the construction. I think part of the problem that many of you may be getting at when you're trying to copy, say, a character that you've broken down into its component shapes, is that you immediately start with the construction, and that is the wrong approach. I don't recommend starting with structure. In fact, I never start with structure. I always start with gesture. I always start with a lay-in. I always start with flat graphics before I do anything that is construction. Okay? So yes, it is important for you to break down a character and construct them. Absolutely. And I have shown you in other videos how I do this. However, when I'm studying a character, when I'm going to draw a character based off of something that I have constructed, that I have broken down, I do not start with the construction first, because it doesn't do me any good. Especially, and if I'm going to copy something, it's better not to start with construction first. It's better to start breaking down a character on the sheet of paper, on the blank sheet of paper, just laying in where I'm going to go, where I'm going to place things, essentially drawing a gesture, essentially drawing just flat graphics instead of doing the construction. Because what ends up happening is, if you're piecemealing the construction, you don't get the overall. You don't get the totality of the drawing you're about to create. Okay, so let me explain it. Let me show you what I mean. So I'm going to very quickly break down this character into her component shapes, and I'm going to be a bit sloppy about it because I don't want to be bogged down just trying to break her down. When you do this, it's good to take your time. Because for the sake of this video, I don't want to take forever trying to break down this character. So I'm going to do a very quick, rough, hard and fast, sort of what she's probably constructed out of, but it's not like an absolute. Okay, so this is what I'm going to do real quick right now. Alright, so here's my rough. I have to say this this drawing itself of Daphne is a little whacked out. It's kind of a bizarre drawing. I don't know what's going on. I don't know why this chin area is so weird. It just kind of goes. Yeah, I'm not sure why it does that. I mean, it really should be something. Should be a little something more like that. It's weird. I don't know. Okay, anyway, whatever. It is what it is. Okay, so let's say that I'm going to try to draw this character, and I have this kind of simple breakdown of the character that I did. One of the things that I want to explain and make clear when I'm doing a character, if I'm going to copy this, is that, again, we've got all this construction going on, etc., but I'm not going to start there. That's not where we want to start. We want to start with just the lay-in, like where we want this character to be. So, and I'm going to end up having to do this fast, or else it's going to take making it perfect, making it super nice looking. It's just going to take an extremely long time. So, here's how I'd approach it. I would not start with doing the construction perfectly and then doing I wouldn't do that. That's not what I want to do. I'm not going to be like doing the shapes here exactly the way that I had it. It's not what I'm going to do. What I'm going to do is I'm going to essentially give myself a bit of an idea as to where I'm going to place the stuff that I'm going to when it comes to drawing her. I am not going to make a perfect constructed version of the drawing. What I need is an idea as to where I'm going to go. So I'm looking at these gaps here. I'm looking at these shapes here. I'm looking at this shape here. How big is it? There's looking at negative shapes. Where am I headed? Doesn't have to be perfect, but where am I headed? Just placing the pieces where they need to be. Drawing the head in the general area where it's going to be. Drawing the hand where it's probably going to be. The arm where it's probably going to be. The pose, the direction of the pose. And I'm not being perfect, I'm not being clean, I'm not doing any of that stuff. I'm being very, very sloppy. Because I don't have to get it right the first time, and that's one of the things that I want everybody to realize. That you have the option of going over it and over it and over it and over it again until you get it right. So this is all just the gist of the drawing. And this is where a lot of people just don't, this is where they fail, because they're trying so hard to just go straight into the final drawing without even doing the foundational stuff and trying to get all the all this stuff down. some preliminary ideas. As to where everything ought to be. If you don't get this right, it's not going to look right in the end, no matter how constructed you get, because what you haven't done is check to see how big. So at this point, we've got this going on. It's a big mess. You don't know what's going on. So if you want to start getting more accurate and you want to break it down even more, this is where the whole measuring thing comes in. So one of the things that I didn't do, which we can do right now, is check how many heads tall everything she is, you know. So we got this now. So from the top of her head to the bottom of her chin, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So she's 2, 3. Okay, so we don't need all that, so we've pretty much got that. So that's, she's from this head to this head, this head to this head, this head to this head, this head to this head. So all we have to do is make sure that we've got all this down. So we measure ours. Let's see, what am I off? From the top of the head to her chin. Yep, we got that right. I got that right. Yep. Yep. It's not bad. Just eyeballing it. All right, so we also notice that there is kind of a midpoint right here. So the midpoint right here would be where her eyes are. Her breasts are a little bit below. That's going on, okay. All right. So now we know that we at least got the proportions right. Then we can go in and start finishing up this drawing. Okay. Now we can start applying all that construction stuff, because we've got the gist of where we want all the pieces to be, all the parts of the body to be. And actually, to be quite honest, there's still a few things that I would like to do. Like, for example, right here, I'd like to indicate the hand. Okay, so now we go in and start really finessing. So I know that my face is way too small, and I think that's what was throwing me off here. So let's move everything over, because really need to. Okay. I need to see what I'm doing here. All right. Now we work our construction. So I know that this needs to at least hit this chin area here. And up we go. The head is tilted this way. Goes around. I know that the top of the head and the hair goes here, so in my construction says that I should do this. I'm looking at my both these two things. Get a softer eraser here. This nose. Now I'm checking, see this nose here, and then it goes all the way to this corner. Mine wasn't doing that, so this is where the corner begins. And this is where the chin ends, because that's where it's here. So it's really important to measure distances and to pay attention to spatial relationships like this. How wide, how far apart is this space here? Where does this line here, where does it end? How long is this bit here? It's because we've got this very short distance here. And these are the critical things that make the character look like the character. So if your character is not looking right, it's because you're missing out on all these tiny detailed comparisons. This space here, And then this mouth here, it's going. How much space in between these two? There's almost like an entire nose worth of space. What's this space? How much space is in between here? There's bumps in here, so let's take care of them. This is three-dimensional. This goes into here. Space right here, space here. Where does this go? How wide is this? Where does it end? I'm trying to find just some kind of point of reference in order to compare and contrast my version versus their version. See, this is too close. So I'm taking a look at the space in here, this shape right here, and I'm going to try to duplicate it. And it's not, and if it's not accurate, it's not gonna look right. So I'm off somehow here. Always looking for landmarks. And right now I just created this graphic shape. And this is off because this goes that way, then this way, then that way. And I'm not doing that. So it goes this way, then that way, then straight. Which means that there's something off right about here. And this is the kind of details that if you're rushing through trying to get a finished perfect drawing, it's not going to be perfect because you're not paying attention to these little things. Better erase this so I could see. And then this line here is lower. It ends right here, and this does. So this is straight, and then there's like a. It's like a D, like almost like the letter D. So it ends right there, and this bump does not end there. It ends here. Then you have the scarf. Again, looking for some kind of landmark. So this shape here, this is wider than here, and it lines up with this. So that means that we've got this going on here like that. We know that at some point there's this bump comes in like this. And then it goes in this way. And that there's this here, this bump here. It's about there. And so this is off. Know that this arm line is off, because I want this space here and this. There's like almost like a diamond here. There's a space here. And we see part of the scarf here like that. And then this is off, so I have to adjust. Taking a look at my construction here. Taking a look at this shape. Am I getting it right? Going down here. Gotta erase this so I can see what I'm doing here. Goes down here. So there's two. There's this one, and then there's this one, and it goes all the way down here to this line here. So How close are these two lines? Notice how long it's taking me to do this, by the way. You want accuracy, right? I want it to look like the thing, but then when I do it extremely fast and not pay attention to any of these details, it doesn't look right. Well, that's why, because you're not paying attention to any of the details. This wonky hand, I don't like it. But I'm gonna stop pretty soon. Because I don't want to take forever to do this, but I think the trickiest part of this is already done. I'm going to erase this because it's not even there. And then there's this kind of a shadow going in here that is kind of weird. But I got to make sure that this triangle here is working. And then I'm going to draw this crazy whacked out hand. So beginning with this negative space here. Hopefully I'm trying to get it to look right. This is a very short line compared to this longer line here. After I draw this hand, I'm going to stop the drawing, so because I think I've done enough to show you what is needed if you want this stuff to actually look like the character in what you're copying, because it's not enough to just construct the character. You have to also pay attention to all the the landmarks. How big is something? How many heads tall is the person? Where does the hip, how many heads down is this particular character's hips compared to the like the reality or whatever. Each individual character has their own proportions or own rules. How big is the ribcage in this character compared to some other character? This finger is really long and it goes all the way here, but I haven't done that. Checking to make sure I got all this stuff right. This is straight. Right here, this is where I'm off. It's right in between these two lines. See, these two, and then there's this right smack in the middle of it. And that's where I was off. Okay. I'm going to stop right here because otherwise I'll just, I got all this stuff to be doing. And I just wanted to give an example of the process that I would take in order to do this. I think mine is actually a little cuter than, because something that's going on with the proportion. That's just me. I just wanted to fix that. I think maybe if I wanted to get it even more accurate, I needed to pay attention to the space between these two. I think it's a little bit off. Like if I wanted to get it even closer, then I would have to move this over up here a little bit. And then I would have to take a look at this. If we look at this, the top of this eye and the bottom of this. So let's take a look. See, I'm off. How far apart are these eyes? They're about an eye's worth far apart. So this is where this eye ought to be. Because that's how this is drawn. Looks weird right now, so I have to fix it to make it look more accurate. And I think part of the problem is that my nose is off then, if that's the case. Needs to be higher. This lines up with this. I just wasn't thinking about this properly. It really needs to be more, it needs to be rotated more. Now the mouth is way too low. This they line up, but not like that. If you notice, I try to straighten up the drawing, and this is really a natural thing that happens, where you, as a person, want to make everything. You want to straighten everything up. And I fell right into that same kind of mentality where I just want everything to be up and down instead of slanted. And that's what really screwed me up. And so you got to be really careful about not doing that. And it happens to everybody. You just saw me do it. So, but I think now it's much more accurate because of this turn. When I caught that, I had done that when I turned. You saw what I did in order to see how it happened. I checked the top of this eye here to this here like this, and I just drew a straight line right across and saw that they didn't line up at all. Like the top and then the bottom of this eye needed to line up. And the moment I did that, it suddenly became really crystal clear that I had been off. And so I adjusted it. And the moment I adjusted it, I had to adjust everything else accordingly, because otherwise it looked really bizarre. But now it's much more accurate to the actual drawing itself. And this is the kind of comparison, landmark comparison you want to do in order to get an accurate drawing so that your drawing looks like the model. And then I could erase this construction. In order to get her face to look a little bit more accurate there. So I hope that this little demo has shown you the kinds of things that you have to be aware of when you are in fact copying a drawing. When you can deconstruct the drawing all you want, but the very first thing that you do before you even start working on finishing up a drawing like this is to go in with and do a rough indication of where you want all the masses, all the pieces, where you're going to be going as a drawing overall. Check, get a guide like how many heads all the way down, so that you know that you've gotten these spaces accurate, so that if maybe I hadn't gotten the skirt where it needed to be, maybe I had gotten too high or too low, and maybe the knees I had made them too long or too short or whatever it is, then by just doing this head thing, I would have seen if I had gotten it accurate or not, and then make adjustments at this stage, this rough stage, where I'm just placing the stuff. How long is the rib cage? Where do all these parts and pieces fit? And then once I do that, then I go in, and when I start doing the details, I start doing minor comparisons between these spaces and that spaces, negative spaces, areas here, areas there, like all these little areas here. How far away is this line to this line? How far away is this line to this line? Where does the eye, how do the eye line up? If you wish to draw a horizontal line from the top of the eye and that sort of thing. And then you start getting more and more accurate. If your drawings are not looking like the character, it's because you are not comparing the small details. You're not measuring how far is this from that. How big is this from that? How many heads tall is that from this? And that sort of thing. So it's important to get all that stuff right in order to get your drawings to be more accurate. If you are not, if you're frustrated about this stuff, then this is what you are not paying attention to that you ought to be paying attention to. And then if you pay attention to that, your drawings will be better. Okay, so that's my suggestions for you when you're doing this sort of thing, so that you can better get more accurate drawings. If you're not getting accurate drawings, this is one of the things that you're not doing. Okay, so hopefully that's going to help you out. And yeah, I hope this video is giving you some things to think about, so that when you are trying to copy something and study something, you can get it more accurate. Okay, thank you for watching. And if you've hit a wall when it comes to drawing, if you want to draw what you want to draw rather than what just comes out of you, if you want to get better faster, if you want to start drawing more consistently, if you want your proportions to work, if you want your drawings to be more solid, go over to my Patreon. I give my time to giving you personal training, personal coaching, depending on the tier that you're in. So if you really want to improve, then I highly recommend you take my coaching tier, where we get together, we find out what it is that your goals are, and then I cater a group of lessons and assignments specifically for your needs, and then you send them over back to me once you're done with the assignments, and then I critique them and help you improve and work with you so that you can get over the hump, get over the things that are frustrating you. So if you've hit that wall and you really want to improve, and you want to do it fast, because really the truth is that you can improve without any coaching at all whatsoever. However, if you want to improve faster, because the best way to get good is to be told exactly what you need to work on from somebody who has been there and gone through it, then I'm here for you. There are positions limited. There's already positions taken up. There's only 5 positions, but once they're filled, then you're gonna have to wait. So highly recommend, if you're really into this position, then move fast and get in on it right away. Go to my Patreon. The link is here on the screen, but if you want to, you just press the link on the description of this video, and you will get sent to that specific tier, to my Patreon, so that you can sign up for that personal coaching if you want. And if you're not into necessarily personal coaching, there's other rewards, giveaways, wallpapers, and all kinds of other things that you can take a look at and maybe subscribe to. Plus, you're supporting these videos that I use to answer your questions for free. So thank you for your support. But I just wanted to make you aware of this other thing that I do, so that in case it sounds like something you'd like, you can go ahead and do it. All right. So thanks a lot for everything, and I'll see you next time. All right. Bye.